You're listening to Trek FM.
Welcome to From There to Here, Trek FM's 50th anniversary show, where we rewatch all 729 episodes of Star Trek and let you know about it. Today, I'm joined by
Daniel Proulx.
And I'm Aaron Harvey, and we're going to be talking about two Voyager episodes, The Phage and The Cloud, because we like the titles.
Let's do it.
All right. The first episode, The Phage, and Memory Alpha says, Neelix's lungs are removed by a race that suffers from a deadly phage that is slowly destroying their population, prompting them to harvest replacement organs and tissues from other species.
Creepy.
It is creepy, and it's kind of sad, actually. I think the episode does a decent job at the very end, given Janeway's dilemma about what to do about the two people who basically stole Neelix's lungs, can't really put them back. And she's like, what am I going to do? It's like, put you in the brig for the entire journey. It's like your people are suffering immensely, but this is not the solution. And in the end, she, lets them off and says, I don't ever want to see you again.
Yeah, that scene is by far the best scene in the whole episode, right? Where she's basically kind of voicing to the audience her thought process. Like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. Like, here are my options. I can take these lungs, which would kill this other person. Can't do that. I can do all of these things. I can't do them. My best solution is just to leave these people behind. It's a little unfortunate that immediately after that, they're like, oh, well, we can magically fix your problem for you. And then you're good to go. It feels like it takes the teeth away from that dilemma. But that scene is so strong.
Then again, we'd be stuck with a Neelix that was
well, no, exactly. Yeah. I don't know how you would, I'm not a writer, so I don't know how you would resolve that problem otherwise. But it does feel like to do that so soon after, like, she and Kate Mulgrew is just acting her heart on that scene. It's so good. And then, it's just like, to me, it was like, man, I wish they could have come up with some other solution at that end. I don't know what they could have done, but just immediately to have them be like, by the way, we have magic thingy things that can fix this, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been something where he had a longer process of recovery or something too, but that isn't really, I think, what they were planning on doing with that character. I really like the idea of the holographic lungs, and I'm extremely surprised that, given there's emergency medical holograms, and they had not, somebody had somewhere in Star Trek not come up with that idea before. I mean, because right now they have artificial, ventilators and things that keep your heart going, all stuff like in science. I don't know why they wouldn't let's create a holographic one, and especially if there's no rejection, it's just light and force fields, so that would be fantastic. I was talking with Tristan and Shar from To the Journey. That was not timed well.
No, it wasn't.
About this episode and how, people always find Neelix really annoying, but there's been a couple times that I've actually really identify with Neelix because I have had a heart transplant, and I have had panic attacks where you're basically, you can't move, you're basically tied down, which is really creepy, because you can't move, or you're gonna pull a tube out or a wire or something like that, and you do start to get really worked up about it, and it's not an easy thing to deal with, and I could not imagine to be like, okay, now you have to be like this forever. I think, obviously if the doctor was programmed to be a counselor, he wouldn't have said it like that, because that was horrible. And I did like the whole, it's like, your ceiling is horrible. And what's really funny about that is they are now doing things with ceilings. Oh. They had, it's in one of the MRI machines at UCLA. They have star patterns. Actually, it looks an awful lot like the Deep Space Nine window in the promenade.
Oh, cool.
And it's just got, it'll do different light patterns, and every once in a while a comet will shoot by and stuff like that. So you're given something to look at that's moving and doing something interesting. So,
and what's interesting too, about that whole situation is that it pushes the doctor just as much as it affects Neelix, of course, in this episode. but he gets fixed by the end. But this kind of pushes the Doctor, I feel like, to kind of recognize his shortcomings, and he expresses his frustrations the whole time about, I'm not a counselor. I wasn't designed to be a full-time doctor, and this is, and again, we get to see some more early Kes kind of encouragement, which, the more and more I watch of this early Voyager stuff again, it's like that it becomes crucial to his character. But it pushes him to realize that not only is this situation not ideal for him, but it also kind of affords him the opportunity to grow and to learn and to become more than he was supposed to be ever. So that was cool. Yeah,
no, I definitely like that. And they were, I think it was this episode where they mention, it's like, oh, you could write a paper on this or something like that. It was just sort of like, okay, you'd have to have a name first. But so yeah, no, I think all of the characters had some really interesting things to do, and the Phage and that type of bad guy is really interesting because they're not a two-dimensional bad guy, because their society is suffering horribly, and they've basically taken to trying to patchwork quilt themselves back together again. And it's like, I can't imagine what living in that society would be like. It sounds like, later down the road, we actually do meet another member of their species and spend more time actually talking about their society. And it seems like there are bits and pieces of people trying to cling to a culture. But, the minute you're sick, people are just like, won't go anywhere near you. And so yeah, I think that's interesting.
I felt a great deal of sympathy for these two characters. They seemed like genuinely upset about what they had to do. And he said, when he says the line, sometimes we have to resort to more violent, aggressive tendencies or whatever. He says, and it's like, it is. It's survival. And that's what it is. Like, it's tough to kind of vilify that attitude of like, listen, we have to just. It's someone else or me, and it's not like there's no malice in this at all. It's and they clearly seem totally reluctant to do it, but only out of necessity. So that's what makes them one of the, I think, probably the biggest potential of interesting bad guys. And going forward, we get some hits or misses with them, but I really do like the Vidians a lot for that aspect of it.
Well, I like that the Vidians are also not uniformly one idea of what they, because you get people who are like, hey, I'm going to steal these organs and that's just who I am. And, they don't feel any sympathy for it. They're just, it's survival. And then you've got these two who are sympathetic. You've got the woman that we'll meet in the future who is, falls in love with the Doctor, who she is, even different, so there's like, I like that their culture isn't just one monoculture of one ideal or one, action.
Much like their bodies.
Yes, that's true. They're a patchwork quilt of well, they're real in that sense. Yeah. Just like someone wrote a realistic character. Hey, yay for them. So that I can't think of much more to say about this episode. I just really enjoyed it, and I felt that it was an interesting dilemma, and I think that people don't give Neelix enough credit sometimes.
Yeah, he's a little.
He's gone through some crap.
He's yeah. I'm not a Neelix hater or a Neelix apologist. I'm right in the middle. I can take him just fine half the time.
Well, they tone him down eventually.
They do. They certainly do.
These first couple of early episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see why people were irritated by him, because he just needs to take a couple notches down.
in fact, perhaps the next episode we talk about that might be the case. But
yes,
certainly I can sympathize with his plight in this episode and how he's feeling. You're mentioning when he was trapped and stuff. Like, man, I totally get that. I'm like, I can't even imagine. That's terrifying to me. So I understand that.
Yeah, not being able to move what 3 microns or whatever it was. Like I don't think that's even possible with if you have a
even
pulse.
With I don't know how
that they should have made that allowance a little bit more. But yeah,
I feel like breathing is actually moving more than that. So
well, he doesn't have to. It's whatever. If we analyze that a little too much, it's just all going to fall apart. Even the warp drive's going to fall apart.
Yeah,
our whole show is just going to disappear into a cloud.
Oh. Wait a minute. What did you do there?
That might be a transition.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yes, our next episode is actually called The Cloud. And this might also be known as There's Coffee in That Nebula, which actually I think would have been a cooler title.
Yes, that definitely would have been a cooler title.
So this episode is just basically Voyager is having more energy reserve problems, which was an early plot that kind of petered out after a while. So their energy reserves are nearly depleted, and Voyager investigates resources inside of this nebula, which turns out not really to be a nebula, but a living creature, which feels very animated series to me because that happened there, and original series, to be honest. So that there's some familiar ground being treaded here, but no, we do start out with a really fun interaction with Neelix and Captain Janeway, where he is preparing breakfast and she comes in and she is going to use her replicator rations to make coffee, and he's just like, oh no, it's like you shouldn't do that, you need to set an example for the crew. And I love the look on her face. It's like, oh okay, thanks for telling me what I need to do. That's great. And she's just like, you just tell she's like about a half a second away from like,
yeah,
I'm going to dress you down if you were an officer.
Well, here's the thing. We were literally just talking about Neelix and how he is sometimes hit or miss. He is insufferable in this episode, man. Insufferable. And he gets so upset that they keep going back into the nebula. He literally comes onto the bridge into her ready room to kind of be like, what are you doing? And I love Janeway's response. Yeah. It's amazing.
Like, Jonah and the whale, you're going in.
Yep. Dismissed.
Jonah?
That is,
whale?
That is so good. I kind of wish she had a little...
Oh, yeah, the dismissed line. Yeah. That was the... Yeah. Yep. And that's Starfleet for get out.
For get out. And for some reason, I thought in my memory, I thought she said get the hell out, and I would have loved that even more. But then, of course, we get at the end, he decides he's a morale officer. Yeah. I wish she had a little more of that attitude for him then as well. I'm like, listen, Neelix, I appreciate your apology that you're sending me right now. Get off the bridge. This is an emergency situation. But
I did love that when he's handing out food in this crisis situation, and then she's just like, oh, all right, fine, I'll take.
She
one.
takes like a diplomatic bite.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, this is she got that look like, oh, this isn't bad, and then he's like, let's all sing songs. She's like, don't push it, Neelix. Yeah.
So that was good.
But this is where we get he's in the very beginning, he convinces her not to use the replicator rations and try his even better than coffee substitution, which is like molasses or something pouring out of the...
I thought it was chocolate syrup, but yeah, I can see molasses.
It could be, yeah, that's true. And then the comm badge is like, Captain's like, on my way, out. And then she's like, gone. It's like, so.
Even Chakotay, when she gets there, he's like, you didn't need to come to the bridge. I was just going to tell you something. Like, we just saw something on the
she's
side.
She's like, no, I had to go to the bridge. Yeah. So it was really cool. We've got the whole, life form alien. This is where we also get Sandrines for the first time. Mm-hmm. We've got quite a bit in here. We have more with the Doctor because we have, he's like, B'Elanna has a sample of the nebula, and they're trying to figure out, I think at that point, that's when they're still trying to figure out if it is a life form or not. And so she goes to ask the Doctor a question, please state the nature of the medical emergency. It's like, why do you always say that? It's like, I don't know. Maybe maybe my programmers thought I'd be, activated for important reasons? It's like, she's like, well, you should change that. It's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. It's like a hologram that programs itself. What would I do? Create a family, raise an army, which is funny because later he does create a family and he becomes the emergency command hologram. So he kind of does that.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I love this early Doctor stuff. It's so fun. It's so fun to like, because, in my mind, when I think of Voyager, I think of later Voyager, and I think of like how animated he is and how kind of he still has that. Just in these early episodes, he's so serious all the time and
very droll.
Yes. And later on, he's so much more like fun, and it's so funny to go back and like see that.
Well, his personality actually does change, which is cool.
Yeah, it's great. He's my favorite character on the show for sure. So I love to see that, to go back and see these stuff. One other element that we get established here, or a little bit more establishment of that, maybe not so great. Chakotay's quote-unquote Native Americanness. So.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring out. It's like, speaking of personality traits, what we wish would have changed.
So we learn, I guess, that...
The concept is good. The execution is horrible.
Terrible. And I don't even know what they were going for. I don't like really know what the point of that like B plot was. We find out that Janeway's spirit animal is a gecko, or a lizard of some sort, I guess.
It's a lizard baby.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I never connected these two things.
Hello.
Oh man, that's amazing. Actually,
Yes.
I don't.
No one seems to have pointed that out, so I had to.
No, that's amazing.
You do realize it looks like a lizard baby.
Yeah. I don't know if that was ever. I don't think that was probably intentional.
No.
But that's know.
B'Elanna killed her spirit animal.
Yeah.
I think. Right.
Which actually reminds me too of the Klingons killed their gods.
Yes.
That line as well. I liked that a lot. I thought, and it seemed like B'Elanna would like find a porcupine or whatever it was her spirit animal was and kill it immediately.
Did she kill it or eat it, or I can't remember exactly what it was.
He just said tries to kill it. Tries to kill it.
Tried to kill it. Yeah, I don't sure she probably wouldn't have killed it since it's not real. But I love that it looked like a lizard baby.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. This changes my whole perception of this episode now.
Yes, now it actually is that's the super cool thing right there.
That's canon right there now. Yeah. For sure.
So we had we get the woodwinds, and is this the episode at the end where we find out that Catherine Janeway is also a pool shark?
Yes, yes, she's a hustler because she's
you
like,
use that stick.
Oh,
with
the
thing.
stick, and then she knocks like 4 balls in on the break, and sorry, I'm salads, or whatever she says. It's good. It's good stuff.
I also love the little thing. It's like, how many fins is this going to cost me? He's like, I don't know. It's some sort of like old Nordic currency or whatever. It's like,
it's good. It's a good episode. It's fun. It's fun early Voyager stuff. So I don't.
And they continue with that. Paris is basically kind of a Kirk wannabe or whatever, where he gets basically sort of the lecherous programming that he does in the. With the piggish guy that hits on B'Elanna.
Yep, B'Elanna's like, he's a pig and so are you. And it's what a great, I mean, of course in hindsight now, we look back on it, it's like what a great beginning to kind of their relationship as well. Yeah. So it's fun.
I think there were times, and this was, you'll get the episode, I believe coming up that I will have already recorded, where Paris basically has to relive a crime over and over again. And what he does to get to that point is sort of like, oh, this is when they really wanted him just to be like the I'll sleep with anything kind of character. And it's weird because it doesn't even seem to work. Maybe it's because we've gone through the entire arc and know about him. Yeah. But even at the time, it just felt like he seems too nice to be this person. I mean, you're trying to paint him as nice because you want the crew to get along with him. But at the same time, you're kind of saying not.
Didn't you know he's an ex-con? I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, he was in prison, so he's obviously a bad boy. I don't know if you knew that.
Right. But you know what I mean. It's just sort of it feels like they didn't really know what they wanted to, like, okay, we wanted to be have a patina of badness, but not really be. Yeah,
he's it's just the thing is that he's Robert McNeil is so charming, and it's hard to kind of take him seriously as this like ex-convict kind of character and
right.
User of people, when you just kind of get the sense that the man would buy you a beer no matter what situation you were in your life. So, yeah, I get that totally.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that is it for today. Unless you have any final thoughts on the Cloud.
No, I like it.
I guess we did sort of skip over that it was a life form and they fixed it.
Oh, yeah. Well, we kind of covered that when we said it was a TOS, TAS kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a fun scene on the bridge when the doctor is muted. And they have to unmute him because he's in the background. And he's just like, hello. And he's waving his hands. And she's like, computer, reactivate emergency medical hologram or holographic channel. How kind. It's just like, it's more of that droll, just like, great, thanks.
Man, not to get too, we've already mentioned it a couple times, but it just goes to show you how good of character development the Doctor had. Because even the Captain doesn't take him seriously in these early episodes. She leaves him hanging on the phone all the time. She just kind of ignores him. And it takes,
Nobody turns him off.
Yeah. And later on, this is not the episode we're covering, but Cass literally has to convince the Captain to like, hey, this is a person, this is a crew member that you have. Yeah. And it's kind of amazing to go back and like see that.
I think what we're saying is we like the Doctor.
A lot. Yeah,
yes.
We do. We really do.
Cool. All right. Well, Daniel, where can we find you when you're not looking for an even better than coffee substitution?
I don't drink coffee, so I guess I'm always looking for things that are better than coffee. But you can find me on Earl Grey every week here, talking TNG with my co-hosts Darren and Philip. And you can also find me
No, you want Earl Grey. That's right. You drink tea.
I actually don't drink tea either, but that's okay. Don't ruin the illusion. No,
Okay.
That's okay. And you can find me personally on Twitter at OneUpDan, and I do eat One Up mushrooms, so I guess maybe that would work.
Cool. And you can find me on Twitter as well at username GeekFilter. And I'm in the Babel Conference, our Trek FM listeners Facebook group. And you can find me as a co-host on Saturday Morning Trek. It's our Star Trek the Animated Series and all things Trek in the 1970s podcast with Adam Drozen. So join us tomorrow when we cover 2 Deep Space Nine episodes, Destiny and Profit Motive.